Good evening. Welcome to Inside Out. I'm Pat Smith, and this is where we take you inside state, local, and federal government to bring that information out to you. Helping me do that tonight is Barbara Meiklejohn. Barbara serves as our clerk of the Circuit Court here in Montgomery County, and she'll be on your ballots in June running for re-election. Barbara, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
This is clerk of court, an elected position. I mean, it's that anyone could run for.
Right, that's correct.
So let's talk a little bit about your background and your 42 years experience in the courthouses.
Okay, I would love to. I started in 1975 as a cashier in the civil office. And since that time, I've worked my way up through the leadership positions until I was elected clerk in 2014. So I've, had a lot of different jobs through the courthouse and a lot of experience in running all the different offices and been on a lot of committees, been on a lot of work groups. And my current work group that's very important is our Maryland electronic courts. We're starting to train to go into electronic filings for, the attorneys and the population. So that's very important to keep up with that. And I'm working really hard to prepare the staff for electronic filing.
I've had some experience with it in other counties and filings, and I tell you, what I say is you're technologically forcing me into retirement.
Some attorneys do say that, but you know what? I think it's it's just like anything else. Once you get used to it, it's a good thing. And the clerks were a little bit like, oh my gosh, we're used to doing it the old-fashioned way. Old-fashioned. I talk about that. Back in 1975, we were using typewriters and the big docket books to put things in. So everybody gets used to the computers, and now with the electronic filing, the clerks that have already gotten it, which are most of the clerks. The only ones that the counties that have not gotten electronic filing is Montgomery, Baltimore County, Prince George's County, and Baltimore City. So the big courts have not gotten it yet. But the clerks that have it love it. They're like, as soon as you have it, you'll love it. You'll never want to go back. So that's what I keep in the back of my mind. And
well, I'll try to keep it in the back of my mind as well.
That you really love it. So, but we're working in Montgomery County. They've already started working with us because, as you know, we have a really robust DCM plan. And so our cases, when they're filed with our court, are assigned a track, depending on,
Okay, our viewers don't know what DCM is.
Oh, differential case management. Right. Sorry, you're right. We use initials for everything.
Yeah.
And so we're working on that, format for the new case management system that has not been adapted yet. So before Montgomery County becomes live, they should have a format for us to be able to use our current DCM plan in this new system, so that we can continue to run the way we've been running and getting our cases in and out of the system.
I know there have been a lot of glitches with the system as they'd open it in less populated areas, so that they could work with the trial and error of it.
Right.
And one of the architects of it has been our Judge Gary Evangam.
Right.
But unfortunately is very, very sick at this point. But he's worked hard.
He has.
More than full time. He hasn't sat on the bench in about 4 years.
Right.
And it's difficult to get it running. I mean, Anne Arundel County was probably a little too big to kick it off.
Right, and I probably said they probably should have gone too smaller, but they probably went Anne Arundel because that's where all our
everybody's there.
Right, the staff is, our technical staff. So I'm sure that's why they went with Anne Arundel. But they probably suffered the most. I mean, they really, to try to get into the new system, and they had to work out all the bugs in the system, and so they had things filing electronically. And I think that time they let you file electronically and still by paper, which they said, but now, like, oh my gosh, we would never do that if we thought about it back then. So it was, but since it's gone through Anne Arundel County and gone through some of the smaller counties, and recently Frederick, and I think Baltimore County is the next county to go live. So that's a big county. So we'll see how much improvement's been made from Anne Arundel to another big county, Baltimore County.
Right. When will it be here in Montgomery County?
Right now they're saying November of 2019.
Can you push that out a little bit more?
When are you retiring?
I hadn't planned on retiring completely.
Right.
But, at some point you have to admit that There's the number that's in front of your age is 7, and you got,
I sometimes look around and I'm like, wow. When you say that you've been over there over 42 years, people are like, really? What? And you haven't retired yet? But I love the court. I mean, it's like family to me, and I've enjoyed all the different offices and all the learning that I've experienced in my 42 years. And when I became clerk in 2014, I mean, it's amazing, after you've been there for that long, you think, oh, I got this. But you don't. There's so much every day that I was like, oh, I need to find out. I need to check this out. I need to learn about this. So I enjoy it. I mean, it's just really my passion.
Well, when you first took office 4 years ago, and I walked by your office, and I looked through the glass, and there are a lot of familiar faces there. And I opened the door, and I said, how about this? From the bowels of Shady Grove Road, Juvenile Division.
Right.
Now you're all sitting in the throne here, in the hierarchy of the court system.
That's right.
So people have stayed for a good long time working. Your colleagues.
We do. We have a handful of people that. It's a good place. I always say you're not going to get rich working in government or state employment, but it's just a really good place to work. The people are great. The judges. It becomes one big family. You work with the community. You get hand on hand with the sheriff's department, and of course that's why we run as a courthouse team, because we're just such a part of each other. The state's attorney, the sheriff's department, even the register of wills, because since we don't have an orphans court in Montgomery County, the register's cases go into the circuit court. So it's just it's family. It's a good place to work, and we've had a lot of people, like you said, Dolores Riggs, who's my assistant chief deputy.
Right.
She's been here even longer than I have. So and Karen Bushel, who's my chief deputy, she's been around a while. She started with the judges, and then became my chief deputy. So yeah, it's a great bunch of people, and it's a great place to be.
Wonderful. I want to let people know what their interaction and exposure can be to the circuit court. Okay. For most citizens, it's jury duty.
Right.
And that they always have in mind that jury duty, criminal case. But that's not necessarily true.
No, that's not true. You can have jury duty in a civil case also. It's a different amount of jury. It depends on the case. But what's interesting that you mentioned jury duty. Jury duty in Montgomery County is actually under the court administrator, not the clerk of the court. So a lot of folks, and usually when they come to Montgomery County for jury duty, they just say how wonderfully it's run, and they really enjoy jury duty. And usually I say thank you, but technically it's we're in part of it as far as manning the courtroom, swearing in the jurors, taking care of that, but the actual summonsing of the jury is done by the jury office, which is under our court administrator. But it's a popular office here in Montgomery County, and most of our jurors. We have programs that you can donate your jury pay to, and about 50% of our jurors don't even take their pay. They donate it to our generous jury program that either helps our drug court participants or our children in foster care. So it's a great program.
But I know people in thinking court, criminal type thing, the biggest chunk of everything is your family law division.
Without a doubt.
That encompasses what?
Yeah, family law. The family division is our by far the hugest. Is that a word? The biggest office within the clerk's office, and they take anywhere from guardianship cases. They'll take, of course, divorce cases, custody cases. They do some termination of parental right cases. They do. What have I left out? They do practically everything that you could think of when it has to do with the family. Although in Montgomery County, unlike some of the clerk's offices, the smaller clerks, our juvenile department is separate. So in some of the other counties, they even do like the child in need of assistance cases and those types of cases. But in Montgomery County, those are done with our juvenile department.
Oh, I thought juvenile came under family.
Right. It technically, yes, in the statute, yes, but we still have it as a separate department. So we have our juvenile the department that does handle our child in need of assistance and our delinquent cases, and they will do some adoption cases also. if the adoption came from a termination of parental rights from a child in need of assistance cases. It's handled in juvenile. And juvenile has their own courtroom clerks, but even that's become diverse now because most of our judges don't just do adult cases and then some judges do juvenile cases.
Right.
It's kind of mixed up now. So all of our courtroom clerks now clerk for both
Rotate.
adult and juvenile cases.
That spreads the knowledge
It
around
does.
for sure.
I think it's helpful, especially our new clerks that come in because they they're younger, they want to learn, they want to know about everything, and so some of our clerks, especially in juvenile, have been there 20 some years, so they are a little hesitant moving out of their juvenile field, but now even they are more comfortable clerking all the different types of cases that we have in circuit court.
So we no longer have judges specifically assigned to juvenile court. Is that part of the rotation?
It's part of the rotation. Yes,
Wow.
yes. It's they rotate every juvenile every 18 months, just like they do the rest of the family and criminal and general, and you rotate every 18 months, unlike we used to when we juvenile used to be, as you know, the only court in Maryland and Montgomery County that had juvenile in the district court.
Right.
And then in 2002, and that's when I became part of circuit court too, because in 2002 the jurisdiction of juvenile went up to the circuit court, and then all the staff became part of circuit court too.
Right.
So so that's when we.
That was an odd thing in Montgomery County.
We were the only county
separate.
that had juvenile separate.
And then we just had our two infamous judges, Jack Tracy.
That's right.
Doug
Judge
Moore.
Right.
Boy, how things have changed.
They've changed a lot.
And as we sit here to reflect, we've known each other 40
some
40
years.
years, and it keeps on going.
It does. It does.
How many employees are there in the circuit court?
We have around 185 employees, and I'm really proud because of the 185 employees, they speak about 15 different languages.
Wow.
And we have 6 full-time Spanish interpreters. And so we really are able to help the citizens of Montgomery County, because Montgomery County, as you know, is a very diverse population.
Exactly.
And so we really are able to help the population that we serve. When they come to our counters, if we don't have somebody that maybe speaks their language, then we have a language line in all our departments so that we can so that we can actually call and get them help, through the language line and be able to understand. So we've come a long way as far as helping, the citizens that English is not their first language. And I'm really proud of that.
And there are 6 full-time just for Spanish?
6 full-time Spanish interpreters, and some of them speak other languages other than Spanish. Now, most of the time, the full-time interpreters are tied up in the courtroom, clerk, when we have full dockets. But we do have them available. If they're not in the courtroom, then they'll go to the different offices or the information booth or wherever we need them, so that they can help the citizens coming in to file things or just ask questions.
Right.
We've even, what's really nice now too, in our license department, we have a handful of our employees that do speak Spanish. So we perform wedding ceremonies in Spanish now because we used to have we used to have requests for it, and when you don't have anybody that speaks the language, so now it's just really wonderful because we can perform the wedding ceremony in Spanish or English, and if they request an interpreter, we'll get an interpreter to perform it in whatever language that they speak. So that makes it important to them.
And another thing that you've been involved in over the last 4 years, and which we'll get into right after our break, is the renovation of the entire courthouse and the building of the new
the
south wing,
tower,
south tower, whatever you want to call
That's
it.
right. That's
We're
right.
very fancy now. We have our north tower and our south tower.
That's right. Exactly.
I'm Pat Smith. You're watching Inside Out. With me this evening is Barbara Meiklejohn. She's the clerk of our circuit court here in Montgomery County. We'll be right back. Good evening. Welcome back to Inside Out. I'm Pat Smith. This is where we take you inside state, local, and federal government to bring information out to you. Helping me do that this evening is Barbara Meiklejohn. She is our clerk of court in the circuit court here for Montgomery County, and is running for re-election,
right.
which happens every 4 years.
It does.
During this period of the first 4 years you're serving as the clerk, you had a big task of renovating the courthouse. Every office was moving here while the reconstruction was done there. Some went to new offices, and that has been an enormous task.
Yes, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. But I can say I think we're finally done. I finished renovating, or I didn't renovate myself, but
Right.
the renovation of the land records department, and they have 3 different offices, was finally finished this week. So I believe with their renovations, every office that is under the clerks have finally been renovated. We had opened a South Tower that is just it's just so fancy. The attorneys love it. It had state of the art equipment in there so that you can do your exhibits and everything by getting ready for electronic court, so that you can do everything really by electronics. And it's really, the South Tower is really a state of an art courthouse, part of the courthouse. Now the North Tower we have renovated too, and like I said, in the last offices that we've renovated is our land records department, and I think they finally finished the renovations on our library, the law library too,
Right.
which is really nice. There'll
Right.
be a lot of computers up there for the individuals that come into the court to be able to use, and it's really, really a big deal up there. We've really made it open and easily accessible to the public up in the law library.
I have one problem, wearing braces on my legs with that South Tower. Everybody thinks it's so great. There's too much walking.
Yes, there is.
You're
right.
In the
you're
North
right.
Tower, it's a quad. You come up the elevator, you've got a short distance to go to all 4 courtrooms on that floor.
That's true.
In the South Tower, you got to hike.
You hike,
and
that's
then when
right.
you get down there, you find out that judge is sitting upstairs. And
the fact that sometimes, because the South Tower only connects as far as the 2nd floor to the North Tower.
Right.
So we'll have a lot of people come up to the 3rd floor looking for courtrooms from the 3rd floor in the South Tower, and we're like, sorry, you can't get there from here. You have to go back to the 2nd floor and then either take the stairs or the elevator back up to the 3rd floor over in the South Tower. So yes, there's definitely a lot more walking now that the
Right.
South Tower is there.
not bad.
No, it's like I said, it's really nice over in the South Tower.
I remember when the North Tower opened about 1980 as the new circuit court.
Right.
Howard Smith was the clerk, and Dave Cahoon was the administrative judge.
Right.
And Dave Cahoon's dry humor was really hilarious, and they were making some comments at a Bar Association luncheon, and someone was, Bob Jakes, of course, was critical of the new courthouse. And Judge Cahoon said, "What do you expect? It was built under the supervision of a clerk of court and a judge."
There you go. There you go.
But it's amazing. I mean, that building is now
Right.
old, and
they
really
did a
has
lot of-
stood
right.
up.
It has, and they've done a lot of renovations as far as the AC and the
Right.
those types of systems, and it really has stood up. It's a great courthouse. I mean, it's a big courthouse. It gives people plenty of room. We can, only thing we're running out of space is for our filing, but in 2019, hopefully we'll be electronic so that we won't have,
Won't
run
have that
out of
issue anymore.
That's right, because that's really our big thing is we have so many case files and, no place to put them. So that is still a problem. But like I said, that's not going to go away until we can go with electronic filing.
Are you now able to accommodate the state's attorney's office? Do they have enough space now?
They got additional space. The sheriff's department got additional space. And actually now the Register of Wills, he's starting his construction. So he's got an additional space also. He can spread out a little bit because he's been in the same office, that's the smaller office for
40 years.
Yes, I was going to say since the beginning of time. So he has now additional space too that he's going to renovate. So he still has renovations to do, but I can thankfully say my renovation hat has been taken off, and I hopefully won't have to put it back on.
I would hope so. It has turned out very, very nice. The other concern that's big now, of course, is security.
Right.
And Judge Greenberg is now, as the administrative judge, working with a committee
Right.
of
That's right.
everybody that inhabits the court and everybody that uses the court, particularly with the attorneys and all, that everybody's going to have to go through screening, except for those who have an office in the building.
Well, and even those that have an office in the building will go through random screening.
Right, random.
So
yeah.
it'll be, I think, 2 days a month, and you won't know, of course, what 2 days it'll be. And it's so random that 1 month may be, I should say 2 days. 1 month it may only have one random screening day, and then the next month might have 3. So it was explained to me that there's a system that they're incorporating that just randomly picks days, and that's the day it'll be screened. So like nobody really knows what the screening day is going to be, except for of course the sheriffs, because they're going to have to, have a little bit more equipment on the days that the courthouse staff has to be screened also. But yeah,
That's like district court, particularly down in Silver Spring. They seem to have more random screenings there than we do in Rockville. But it's like you walk in, oh, come on. I take off my belt and
Right.
empty the pockets and everything instead of just showing an attorney bar association
right, yes,
card.
and some are very upset. Some are like, oh well, it's the times that we live in,
It is the
So,
times. And as Judge Greenberg pointed out, in the circuit court, you have people getting sentenced to long terms in jail.
right,
And
right.
their family is there and often
Very
very
emotional.
upset and emotional. You have all the family law issues.
Which
of
are even
custody,
sometimes right,
child support, even more volatile
right.
in that tower of the building. So there's an awful lot that goes on
That's true.
that could ignite.
Right, right. Yeah, like you said, I think probably family law is probably even the intensity is higher than in some of our criminal cases because these involve children and just emotional issues that really can set people really off. So you're right. It's just in the times we live in, it's just really important to take that into consideration. And I think they're going to change some of the. Since we're going to do random screenings and attorneys, I think they're going to try to start on the days of the random screening and even some of the other times so the attorneys can have a line they can go through faster to get their things through and the employees, so that, and then of course if that line's empty, they'll bring the public in through that line also so that we can try to still get folks in quickly, and especially on the days, Mondays and Tuesdays, if we bring in a large jury pool, then it's sometimes can back up at some of the screening stations.
Yes, and Judge Greenberg mentions that in his column in the upcoming newsletter for June of the Bar Association.
Right.
And the attorneys will be directed over to the Maryland Avenue. I mean, Monroe Street.
Monroe Street, right.
Side of the building, because that's where fewer people come in.
Right.
And the downstairs on the terrace level people haven't quite gotten the hang
Right,
of
so
that
you can
yet.
get in and out of there fairly quickly. And
Right.
I think that was the concern of some of our employees. You go to lunch, and you have to be screened when you come back in from lunch, from the terrace level. But so far, really, there has not been any really wait. So, the folks, it's just a matter of something else you just have to get used to. And it's for the good of everybody. It protects the people that work in the building, protects the attorneys. It's better protection for anybody who does business in the building. So I think it's a good thing overall.
Now, I know that you've been cited and recognized for some of the programs you've initiated since you've been clerk. Could you tell us about that?
Yes, I received a public service award from the Korean American Association president for my internship program that I have started in the circuit court. And it allows for both high school and college students to come in and just learn about the court from the inside out, because a lot of people are interested in the courts and maybe even starting a career with the courts or an attorney or prosecutor, and it gives them the opportunity to really see what we do from the inside. So I started that, and also our county executive sent me issued a citation for my leadership in developing new leaders in the community through my internship program. So I'm really proud of that. We've also partnered with Project Search, which is a county-run program that helps young adults that have disabilities develop job skills that they'll need to be employed in the workforce. So we've brought in a couple different interns. We've had an intern in our criminal department. We've had one in our central files department, and just teaching them the skills that they need so that they can be employed, with the different workforces, whether it be with the court or somebody else. I know that we had one intern that worked in our technical services department that actually was hired
is that
as
right?
an employee there. So it's a great program. We're going to a graduation. Our last intern is graduating, I believe, in June. So there's a graduation ceremony in Silver Spring that I'll be attending. But it's a really wonderful program to give these interns an opportunity to really develop, the job skills that they need.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes,
on
thank you.
that,
So I'm proud of both of those programs.
Yeah. And the largest number of cases in the court system, we're talking about criminal and civil cases, but it's that family law
Oh, without a doubt.
tower.
Without a doubt.
Now they have their own tower.
Yeah, it's and what I've done also is that I've moved employees around. Some of the departments that had their caseload has dropped. For instance, juvenile, the caseload has really dropped significantly.
Really?
And that's good.
That's good.
But and I think that's because there's a lot of diversion programs created from the police departments, the Department of Juvenile Services, so we don't get as many children in court.
Right.
So when the stats have dropped significantly, I moved some of the employees from that office over to our family department so that we can pick up and really, because it's true, family department without a doubt handles the majority of the caseload that comes into the circuit court. And, it's hard to keep current with all the court orders and everything that comes in without the staff to do it. So we try to move things around. I try to move things around so that we can make sure that we cover our heavy departments.
I have very little contact, not doing any domestic relations practice of law or whatever, but I do observe this petite woman by the name of Pat. I don't know what her last name
Pat
is.
Hinkle.
Pat Hinkle. I don't know what you're going to do to replace that woman.
She is the court, our court's little energizer bunny. She
is.
loves her job. She just loves doing what she does, and sometimes you'll have to tell her, Pat, if you don't take off, then you are going to lose leave. And she's lost leave before because she enjoys being at the court so much. So yes, they all do an excellent job, but Pat, you can tell, just
She's
loves
something
being
else.
there and doing what it is that she does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
She's really is a good employee. Like I said, they all do a really good job, but you can tell the ones that love doing what they're doing.
Okay, we only have a minute left. Could you tell our viewers about the courthouse team?
Courthouse team. We run as a courthouse team. We have John McCarthy, who everyone knows is our state's attorney. We have Darren Popkins, who is our sheriff, and we have Joe Griffin, who is our register of wills. And then myself, Barbara Meiklejohn, clerk of the court. And we run as a team because we interact so much, not only within the court itself, but everything we do in the community and so forth. So we run as a team so that when we go out into the public, they can really see that we're a group of folks that have been there with a lot of experience in the court, and we cooperate very well together, which makes Montgomery County run the smooth operation that it has. And it's important to have people in those positions that have experience to know what they're doing in the courthouse, because we have so many new programs coming, and especially with the Maryland electronic courts, it's going to affect not only the courthouse, it's going to affect all the attorneys and the public also. So it's just really important to have a team and a leadership team that really can connect together and also has the experience to keep the court running in a very smooth and efficient manner.
And as far as experience, you all came up from within.
Right, that's
McCarthy,
right. Yes,
Popkin,
we
Joe
all
Griffin,
worked our way
and
up.
Barbara Meiklejohn.
That's right, worked our way up.
Do you have a website or a Facebook or something you
Yes,
can give our viewers?
I don't have a web page, but I do have a Facebook. You can find me, Barbara Meiklejohn for Clerk. If you just put it on, search Facebook, you'll see my Facebook page, and I put all the information about what I'm doing, where I've been, my endorsements, my qualifications. That's all on my Facebook. You can email me, Barbara Meiklejohn as one word at yahoo.com.
Okay, great. Barbara, thank you very much. We wish you the best of luck in the upcoming re-election effort.
Thank you.
Do you just have a primary opponent, or do you have an
I do. I
opponent?
just have a primary opponent.
Okay. Maybe it'll all be over in June.
Fingers crossed.
I'm Pat Smith. You've been watching Inside Out. We air here on Channel 16, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening.